Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, joining you with our playoff edition. First week of playoffs coming up here in New Jersey this coming weekend for our public schools. So tonight, going to do a little playoff reminders for all us officials out there, and even for the coaches out there, which is once again why I brought in my buddy Daniel Chamberlain. Daniel, what's happening, bud?
Oh, it is another beautiful day here in Oklahoma. We've reached hunting season, so muzzleloader, black powder, whatever you want to call it. Season is upon us. Mike, we're in the South, so we got to shoot animals and eat them. So that's kind of part of it.
I'm here in New Jersey. I got the Pinelands right behind me. I see the deer all the time. I sometimes sit there and salivate myself of watching what's going around in my backyard, just saying, I wonder what I could do. But I'd end up shooting myself, so it wouldn't be a good thing.
I'll come give you lessons. It's no big deal for free, just to hang out up there. Yeah, man, good. We're going into week 8 in our season here, so by the time this comes out, we will definitely be into the playoffs. Yeah, it's been a wonderful year. Every time the season flies by, it can't get here fast enough, and it flies by. So
yeah. No, 100%. We just finished up our regular season here for our public schools. So this coming weekend starts our public school playoffs, round 1. So the brackets just came out today. We're actually still waiting to hear what days they're going to be scheduling them, because we're supposed to get hit with some pretty bad weather this coming weekend. Models are changing back and forth. But right now, there's a Category 4 hurricane off the shores down by Jamaica right now. So they're getting hit pretty hard, and they're saying it's going to be a Cat 5 pretty soon. And it's just a matter of which model. I don't know if you deal with the spaghetti models that we have here with the Gulf Stream and stuff like that on the coast here of the U.S., but being in the central parts. I know you guys have some hellacious weathers here and there too. Last weekend, right. I know you guys got hit pretty hard. So we're trying to figure out our schedule now, because we may have some Thursday night games, some Friday night games, and then some Saturday afternoon games. And man, I hope they don't jump into Sunday for whatever reason. But yeah, we're getting ready. We got one more week of our parochial schools regular season for them, and then they're in the playoffs too. So we're in playoff season. We're in playoff mode.
I'll tell you something funny. We had a little weather this week. Friday was cold and miserable and wet and just gross, and so everybody in the state basically backed up to play Thursday night. And so, of course, then just after halftime, we were about a minute into the third quarter, and a big lightning storm built up and came over us. So we were on a 2-hour weather delay on Thursday night and finished about 12:15 in the morning Friday. So, it seems like even if you try to get away from it, it still finds a way to find you. So that was a pretty ridiculous scenario. And then it's just been gloomy ever since. And so I think we're going to get a little just regular rain going into these weeks, but no hurricane stuff. And maybe that'll push some more water to us. I don't know. We'll see what the path is.
Yeah, they're saying this one, if it hits the coast here, may be pretty hellacious. So who knows? But we're only at Hurricane Melissa, so everything is alphabetized. So we're at almost at our anniversary of Superstorm Sandy. So that was S, but we're just at M now. So there still can be some stuff coming behind, and it was crazy because Sandy hit Halloween weekend, and this was Halloween weekend approaching us. So it's just kind of eerie in that aspect. So we're keeping our fingers crossed here. And for all the people that are in the Caribbean, keeping our fingers crossed for all them and for all the first responders that are going to be helping out down there. Cause I'm sure some people that we know are going to be getting sent down because they're talking landslides and everything like that. So hopefully everyone comes out pretty good. So I digress. Let's get back to talking some football here.
Love it.
Back to what we know, because I am definitely not a meteorologist. So, as I mentioned before, tonight we're going to dive into some penalty enforcement. So, kind of reiterating with our Rule 10, going over our penalty enforcement. But I call this the playoff edition because I really want to kind of just iron things out for all the officials, for all the coaches out there. Daniel and I were talking just pre-recording just about some of the different things that we're seeing, and now we're in the playoffs now. Playoffs. Yeah, going all that stuff. But we want to make sure that we're all on point and that we give all the coaches their proper options and that we're calling the right game. Everything that we've been kind of harping on throughout the all the other episodes. Well, now it gets magnified because now it is even that much more important. So, going to kind of go over our penalty enforcements tonight. But before we begin, I have to go through my little diatribe here. If you're enjoying the show, hit those follow buttons, those like buttons, those subscribe buttons. You can find me on youtube.com at Mike D, the referee. Hit those subscribe buttons there. All those fun things are for free, and they help get the podcast a little bit more exposure, get our word out there for everybody, so that they can locate us and find us and hopefully learn or give us some questions, some feedback, whatever it may be. So all of those different things out there. Once again, Daniel, why don't you give a shout out to all the different places that people can find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on the two podcasts. The first one is the Football Coaching Podcast with Joe Daniel. That is a weekly drop every Thursday. We are a weekly show covering every aspect of football and coaching. Very keep it simple mindset over there. Just trying to get guys from trying to be Saban in high school. Just you can play a lot more simple ball. And then Kenny Simpson and I have the Coaching 101 podcast. That's every Sunday. As I'm speaking, I'm wondering if I made one release today. So maybe that's what I'm doing when we get done here. But we drop almost every Sunday. Drill weekends make things a little crazy sometimes. And then, you can always find my YouTube, Chamberlain Football Consulting YouTube, where I'm just about to get started with a 30 for 30, 30 days of fundamental football, kind of that playoff concept, getting new coaches that are maybe guys are looking to find a team in January, whatever, just some simple stuff, or parents, whatever, whoever wants to go watch. So jump over to the Chamberlain Football Consulting YouTube to find me there.
Yeah, hit those like and subscribe buttons there too, people. Let's get the good word out about officiating and coaching and football in general. So just hit those buttons and just helps us all out.
That's right. It's free.
So as you can see, I pulled up my PowerPoint slides here or Google slides. So we got our NFHS penalty enforcement with the playoff edition, and then my beautiful mug right there, front and center. So a couple different things we're going to talk about procedurally, and a lot of these things Daniel and I have already talked about. We went over Rule 10, so if you missed the Rule 10 episode, you can go back. I'll link that one to the show too. But a lot of things also going back to Rule 2, where we're going to talk about live ball, dead ball fouls in this aspect, loose ball plays, running plays, different things like that. So all those things now come into effect now that we have to enforce the penalty. Again, my easiest recommendation is only throw the ones that mean something. Like, don't keep those flags nice and tight and make sure it's point of the attack or safety fouls and different things like that, and keep those whistles away. And make sure if you're a wing, you're using that finger whistle. You don't want to keep that whistle in your mouth. And as an umpire, I'm spitting that whistle out. As a referee, they're keeping it down low. So those flags and those whistles, we don't want to hear or see many of them. But if you have to throw it, or if you have to blow it dead, make sure we know what we're doing. So that's what we're here to do tonight. So going over the penalty enforcement. So some basic things. All your fouls are either live ball or dead ball. You've got non-player or unsportsmanlike fouls, which occur when the ball is either live or dead, but they're always going to be enforced as dead balls, such as your taunting. Just watching ESPN the other day, watching Deion Sanders high-stepping down the sideline. Today, that's a flag. That is 15 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct, but that score is still going to count. So when he's high-stepping for that pick six, you're getting a touchdown, and then you're getting the UNS, so it's going to be enforced as a dead ball. And any live ball foul is penalized from the basic spot, which we are going to dive into as per Rule 10-4, unless specified by some of our special enforcement rules. And this one, got to talk about this one because it happened this weekend for us. A team may accept the penalty but decline the yardage. So I had one of my first hurdling situations occur this week. The The kid hurdled the long snapper on an extra point. Hurdled the long snapper on the extra point. And again, I wasn't going to throw it. I was going to talk to the kid, but then in turn, he ended up blocking the kick. So as soon as the ball was blocked, that's when I dropped the little actually tossed that one straight up in the air. And the team got an opportunity to re-kick the extra point, but they didn't want the yardage because they wanted to kick back from where they were. So they wanted the ball to stay at the 3 because their kicker is used to kicking from the 10 instead of coming closer. So they declined the yardage, but they accepted the penalty. So we replayed that down from the 3-yard line in essence. So you always have that options to do that. There's very few instances where that comes into play, but on the PAT is one. They were up big. They weren't going for 2 at the time. So people may want to go for 2 in that aspect, but they wanted the ball to be just kept where it was.
So talk to me real quick, basic, and I know that we probably covered this before, but there's certain terms that as a ref you understand more than coaches. What is a basic spot, and what are the other versions of spots?
We're going to talk about that in a moment. So I'm going to hold off on answering that question because that's in one of our upcoming slides. So
look at that. Jeez. I should have just read this. You sent me the slides and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, he did his due diligence. He tried to teach me. I didn't take it. Here we are.
I am a teacher by trade, so I do the best that I can. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make them drink.
Touche.
But I can drink a bourbon, so cheers.
Cheers to that.
All right, Daniel, so I'll let you take this one.
Sweet. So let's talk some spots. Basic spot. So every penalty is forced from one of the following spots, and there's a bunch of them there. The basic spot, a point of reference per penalty enforcement, 10-4. Previous spot, the spot where the ball was last snapped or free kicked. Succeeding spot where the ball will next be snapped or free kicked if there was no foul. Spot of the foul, the spot where the foul occurred. End of the run, where the ball becomes dead in the runner's possession. Or where the runner loses possession if the run is followed by a loose ball. Or spot of the catch or recovery when momentum rule is in effect. Post-scrimmage kick spot where a scrimmage kick ends or the 20-yard line if the kick results in a touchback. So let's go back to basic spot, Mike. It's a very convoluted answer.
I promise you I'm going to get there with you. So before we even talk about the spots, though, I want to go over, you're a deep wing, you throw a flag. What does your white hat need to know? And we call it the 4 W's. Who committed the foul? What was the foul? When did the foul occur? And where did the foul occur? So all of those things need to be communicated to not just the white hat, but the white hat's the one that's got to signal it and make it look for show for the crowd and for the press box. But we also want everybody on our crew to know it so that we're making sure that we're giving the coaches the proper ideas and let them know what their choices could be. So we want to know who committed the foul. And we always say we want to get the number. Coaches, I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes getting the number because we're refereeing, we're officiating, and 90% of the time the play is continuing to go. So I know a lot of times with the hold, I might not see the actual number, but I'll tell you, coach, it was the right guard. So if you flip-flop your guards and flip-flop your line, like those sometimes I can't always get, but I'm going to tell my white hat, all right, we had it on A, we had it on B, K or R. So we're going to know what team had the foul, what the foul was. So I've got an offensive holding penalty on the run, and it was at the minus 35-yard line. So those are the things that I'm going to relay to my white hat and to the rest of my crew so that my wings that are next to the coaches on the sidelines, they can tell the coach, hey, coach, this is what we got. So if they happen to be the offensive team, they could start yelling at me for throwing that holding penalty or for yelling at that right guard that held. And the defense now has their options of, do we want the ball? Do we want to decline the foul? Do we want to take the foul? And all their different things. So, and again, when we come back with our spots, that's where all these different things are going to come into play because we got to give the options of saying, hey, coach, you're going to get the ball here and replaying the down, as opposed to you may get the ball up there and it's the next down. So we want to be able to give all of those things. So the spots and those basics and succeeding and end of the run and all those things do come into play. Daniel, I'll grab these ones here. These ones are kind of basic ones that we've talked about, but your live ball fouls occur during the down. Your dead ball fouls occur before the down has begun, before the ball is snapped. And then every live ball foul is either a loose ball foul or a running play. And we talked about a loose ball foul are kicks, legal forward passes, backwards passes, which does include the snap, which if you're shotgun, it's a millisecond. If you're under center, it's even less. An illegal kick, a fumble by A in or behind the neutral zone prior to a change of team possession, and the runner runs that precede any of the above. And what a running play is basically anything that's not a loose ball. So kind of ones that we talked about with our definition. So I'm going to go through those relatively quickly. So now we're talking about our basic spots. And Daniel, you'll notice this slide here has the title of basic spots, but then it just says all the other spots that you just mentioned before, because our basic spot happens to be all four of these. So we need to figure out which one we're going to be going from.
Right.
So I'll let you go with this one, and you'll answer a couple of your questions, but not all of them just yet.
Yep. So seating spot is the spot used for dead ball fouls. Previous spot, fouls that occur during a loose ball play. Fouls that occur in some running play scenarios when the run ends behind the line of scrimmage, and fouls that are simultaneous with the snap. And then end of the run, fouls that occur during certain running play situations when the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. Post-scrimmage kick spot, fouls which have PSK or post-scrimmage kick enforcement.
And I'm going to tell you again with PSK, we're going PSK majority, high majority of the times. We're going to go with it being a post-scrimmage kick, because if we have it during the kick and you have a hold by K while the ball is in the air, technically we are giving the kicking team the option of the holding penalty, and it could end up being a first down. So we got to make sure that it truly is during the kick and not a post-scrimmage kick type of scenario. So you don't see it too often, but it does happen. And I can tell you, you're going to have a really pissed off coach in that scenario if their other team is getting the ball back. All right, so our basic spot, and we got here a couple of mechagrams. So for the officials that are out there, you've seen these in our books, our mechanics books, our rule books, and different things like that. So the first one we're going to talk about is our basic spot for run play when the run ends behind the line of scrimmage and the foul occurs behind the line of scrimmage. Your enforcement is going to be the previous spot. So this again goes back to our rule change. I think we're in 3 years now, and most commonly it was our holding type penalty, where an offensive lineman held behind the line of scrimmage, and we were then marking it off from the spot of the foul in that scenario. So it could in essence be like a 15-yard penalty. But now we're going to go back to the previous spot and mark it back 10 yards from there. And again, this is now one where we definitely want to give the coaches the options, because if you tackle the running back for a 4-yard loss, well, if it was 1st and 10, you now have 2nd and 14, or we can move it back to 1st and 20. So we want to be able to make sure that we're giving all of those options. So Daniel, ball snapped, and this quick picture of the ball snapped. Spot of the snap is right in the middle of the field, in the middle of the hashes. The hold happens on the left hash, and the run ends basically on the right hash. If the team were to accept this penalty, where would we laterally have the ball spotted? If we're going back 10 yards.
I think you have to go back to the middle of the field. Where was the ball last snapped from?
Correct. So enforcement is from the previous spot. So the previous spot was the middle of the field. All right, Daniel, want to take the next one? Beyond the line?
Basic spot run plays. So this time the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and a foul behind the line of scrimmage. Enforcement at the previous spot. This is every outside zone team in the world. If you break one longer than about 4 yards, that was probably a hold. So it's going to come back.
Timeout. Come on. That's only on special teams runs.
We stopped running outside zone. I'm going to be honest with you, because we can't get one clean. So our coaching, it's not your fault. I'm not blaming refs. I'm just saying we can't coach how to seal an edge, apparently.
That's a tough one.
So it is going to go back to the previous spot because the penalty happened behind the line of scrimmage. So basic spot is the previous spot for a foul by A that occurs behind the line of scrimmage when the run or related run ends beyond the line of scrimmage, and no change of possession. Also, your well, this is a run play. I was going to say pass play, but that would
Yep.
be loose ball in the middle, which we don't want to cover yet.
So did you ever try teaching the outside zone with no hands?
The old big flipper.
I'm not even talking big flipper.
We can't flipper anymore, right? And that one, didn't we find out that was in the rule book? You can't use the.
You can.
Oh.
The wing T teams are still doing it, but you can. I'm talking about from my old coaching days and being an offensive lineman. We used to have to do drills where we were blocking with just our feet.
Just
literally our hands behind our back, and
face.
Yeah, yep, it forced us to really run our feet to work to get out there, and we'd be chest driving some people in drills. So it looked terrible, and it wasn't the most well, it just looked terrible as a drill, but it got our feet moving.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from the topic at hand here, but it generally always happens when you truly have someone beat and the running back comes just close enough to you and they lunge or jump for the running back, and they're going to finger tackle him, but you have a hold of him. And then it's like, oh, look at that. You kept him from making the tackle. Like,
Point of the attack.
That's right. So there we go.
All right. So basic spot again on a run play when the run ends behind the line of scrimmage, but the foul occurs beyond the line of scrimmage. Our enforcement is the previous spot again. So your wide receiver is holding 3-4 yards downfield, but the running back gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage. We're going to go back 10 yards from the previous spot, or we're going to give them the option to decline it. And because it was a loss on the play, they may want the down and the 4-yard loss or 3-yard loss, depending on what the situation is. But again, we want to give all of those options to the coaches. So our basic spot, again, previous spot for a foul that occurs beyond the LOS. When the runner-related run ends behind the LOS, there are no change of possession. So change of possession is key there.
Right. Basic spot run play. The run ends behind the line of scrimmage and B fouls beyond the line of scrimmage. You're also going to enforce this at the previous spot. The basic spot is the previous spot for a foul by B when the run or related run ends behind the line of scrimmage and no change of possession. Rule 10-4-2D.
So if you have illegal hands to the face by the defense, they're pushing up on a defensive back is pushing up on their wide receiver that's blocking their on their face mask. Well, we're going to have a 10-yard penalty there, but if the tackle happened behind the line of scrimmage, we're going to go from the previous spot as opposed to it's probably 7 yards downfield that this foul is occurring. We're not going from a spot foul there and having this be a 17-yard penalty. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty. All right, moving along. The basic spot, when the run ends behind the line of scrimmage and B fouls behind the line of scrimmage, our enforcement is still going to be the previous spot. So I know it's kind of redundant, but these are all the different scenarios on just a run play that we got to roll through our mind, and that we're saying, okay, where did you have it? Where did it end? And me as an umpire, I'm always looking, all right, Daniel, where was your spot? Okay, our spot was up there. So we're at the line of scrimmage or we're beyond the line of scrimmage. So all those things we need to talk about. So foul behind the line of scrimmage, tackled behind the line of scrimmage, we're going previous spot. All right. Run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. And now A fouls beyond the line of scrimmage and behind the end of the run. So now we got a 25-yard run. The wide receiver was caught holding 10 yards downfield. So they were holding. The runner continued to run past them. We're now going to enforce it from the spot of the foul. So in this scenario, you may end up having 1st and 10 again. If the penalty happened 10 yards downfield, we may be walking it back that 10 yards right back to where it was. It could be 1st and 12 possibly, as opposed to being 1st and 10 from the plus 25 because they just gained 25 yards. So the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage. So you got a long run and A fouls beyond the line of scrimmage, but behind where the run ends. And now I'm giving you bigger examples. This could be a 5-yard gain with the receiver holding at 1 yard beyond the line of scrimmage. You might get second or first and 19 because we're going to go 10 yards back from 1 yard beyond the line of scrimmage. Any questions with that? And once again, that lateral stuff is still coming into play now. Let me back it up with that one. So that one is enforced from the spot of the foul. So now if the foul occurred on the right hash, ball was snapped in the middle of the field, the foul occurred on the right hash, the running back cut it back and gets tackled on the left hash, we're going to go 10 yards back from the right hash because this is a spot of the foul enforcement. Got to make sure we talk about the lateral spots because those do come into play, especially in the high school level.
Let's go run ins. Let's go run ins beyond the line of scrimmage for 500, Alex. Run ins beyond the line of scrimmage and A fouls beyond the line of scrimmage, but this time it's beyond the end of the run. You're going to enforce at the end of the run. Basic spot in the EOR for a foul by A that occurs beyond the line of scrimmage during a running play when the run or related run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and the foul occurs in advance of end of the run or related run and no changes. See how much easier it is to just listen to Mike talk instead of read that. Jesus.
And then you got to know 10-4-6 C1 and 2.
Yeah, that's tough. Paragraph and line number, right? Here we go.
So basically, your wide receiver gets called for a hold, but they get called for the hold at 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, and the running back gets tackled. He gains 10 yards. We're going to go, I'm sorry, vice versa. He gains 2 yards. So we're going to go from the end of the run. So the run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and the foul is beyond the line of scrimmage and further downfield. We're going to go from the end of the run. And once again, lateral spot from the end of the run. We got to know that. All right. One more for our basic spot on a run play. The run ends beyond the line of scrimmage and B fouls behind the line of scrimmage. Doesn't happen often. Well, I shouldn't say that because I did recently have a defensive lineman block below the waist where they cut the guard pulling around. They cut him. So that one gets enforced from the end of the run. So in essence, that's going to be a tack-on type penalty. So we're going to enforce it from the end of the run. So if they gain 12 yards and now I got a block below the waist, adding 15 yards to that, boom, we're going up another 15 from when the run ended.
All right, so talk to me here. You said he cut the pulling guard. So that's in the first 3 seconds of the play. The back makes a move and the play goes on for another 15 yards or whatever. Are we still doing it then? We're still
from the end of the run, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And if it's immediate, when I'm talking about the pulling guard, so this was a left guard that was pulling and wrapping around the right end. So the defensive end was the one that cut, so it wasn't immediate and at the snap. So that's why it's a block below the waist in that scenario. If it's right at the snap and they submarine and go down and they try to cut the guys before they're pulling, we got nothing there. And we got our straight cut block because it's immediate and initial. But this one was power. They were trying to pull up and get around. They were trying to kick out the defensive end. I don't even know how the scheme that they were actually running it. It may have been more of a wham scheme. But the defensive end on the offense's right side cut the left guard pulling around from the left side.
You're not going to kick me, buddy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So instead of letting him kick you, we'll give him 15 more yards.
There we go. Run play ends beyond the line of scrimmage and B fouls beyond the line of scrimmage and beyond the end of the run. So essentially a foul ahead of your running player you're going to enforce at the end of the run.
Yep. So again, legal use of the hands downfield by a defensive back or a safety on a 2-yard gain. We're going to go from the end of the run there and just tack on whatever that penalty may be. So that would be a succeeding spot. All right. And again, basic spot on a run play. Run by A ends and A's end zone, and B fouls. So the run by A ends in their own end zone and B fouls.
Very exaggerated. That is a 20-yard run around backwards.
Well, what if it's a face mask? What if it's a punt scenario and it's a face mask on the punter?
Touche. Yep.
Again, extreme. It does happen often with that depth that the mechagram here is showing, because they're snapping the ball from. Oh, they're actually snapping the ball on the 20.
Yeah, from the 20 to it's a 9-yard snap, and then he runs 11 yards backwards. But
Yep.
anyway, did you already read this one? You did.
So we're gonna enforce this one from the previous spot. A lot of people would think this is going to be from the goal line, but no, this one's going from the previous spot.
And this is B fouling, so
yes,
that's a little different than if A is fouling back there.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that one. So here is our big chart here for the penalty enforcement rule, and this one is right from the nfhs.org website. The basic spot is the spot of the foul when A commits a foul in their end zone, for which the penalty is accepted. So that one we have to understand, and that goes to your question, which is why I jumped. That's the note that's on the bottom. That's going to be a safety in that scenario if A fouls in their own end zone. But in this chart, this is one that we need to know, and you'll see on the left-hand side is who committed the foul, where the foul was committed, what the end of the play was, and then where we're going from. And then we have all of our references on Rule 10, 10-4, and 2D, E, F, 1, 2, C. So all those different things here. But this is a great chart for the officials out there to take a look at. Definitely jump on that YouTube channel and take a look at this chart. Go in your rules manual and take a look at this chart. But this is everything that we just talked about. And you can see, again, we're just still talking about run plays. So we haven't even talked about the loose ball or the kick game, the fun ones. Daniel, any questions on this slide?
No, this is the good slide, right? This is the one that helps you. There's different kind of learners or whatever, right? So this one kind of puts it in that big chart where you can Sheldon Cooper it and get back to it real fast.
Flags for 1,000, please. All right, so we got our rule change here that we just got to touch on, but there's also several exceptions to Rule 10-4. An illegal forward pass, most commonly in this scenario, is going to be intentional grounding. They are considered run plays, and we're going to mark those from the spot of the foul. We just had this the other night. Not only is this going to be marked from the spot of the foul, but it's also a loss of down. So this foul, the quarterback scrambled around, and when they finally threw the ball, they were about 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And then we tacked on another 5 yards and took a down away from them. So that's a drive killer. And there was nobody, it's one that we want to, and again, this is the referee's call with a lot of help, because the throw came to the middle of the field, which was right towards me, even though I'm 9 yards back. So that's why I know it was nowhere near anybody. And the short wings got to make sure that it crossed the line of scrimmage, was the quarterback out of the pocket, all those different things. And this one wasn't even close. And then boom, flag was down, and we didn't get a complaint. So I was happy to hear that. But yeah, this one is a drive killer.
I mean, it's good you didn't get a complaint, because you just back it up with the rule book, right?
Yeah, well,
it stinks, but
Daniel, stop it. Stop thinking logically.
I'm not logical on Friday nights. I'm screaming in my little box up there.
Absolutely. And as was I.
Don't you see that hold ref who's watching 22 players contact each other?
Absolutely. Yes, I did. I chose not to throw it.
Right.
Because I was over there and the ball was on that side. All right, so the basic spot is the spot of the foul for illegal batting or illegal kicking when the foul occurs behind the end of the run or related run. The basic spot is the spot of the foul for the illegal kicking. Just showed that last week with the punter in their own end zone, who decided after the snap went over their head that they weren't going to pick the ball up and kick it, but they were just going to kick it off the ground. They did that from their own end zone. So they did the I Dream of Genie dance in the end zone. That was a safety.
It was a not a great play, but it was a heads up. He thought he was Drew Brees. He was going to drop kick that bad boy. Wasn't it Drew Brees that dropped? It was not Drew Brees.
Drew Brees did it, and Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie's the one that I remember before him. All the 5'10" quarterbacks. They were both better than me slinging the ball. Speaking of a drop kick, for the NFL fans that are out there, today the New York Giants being, well, the New York Giants, they were losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, which happens quite often, except for finally once this year we beat them. But they scored a touchdown. They went for the onside kick, which again in the NFL now you have to announce your onside kick intentions. Well, they did a drop kick. Haven't seen that one. And that is 100% legal to do. You are allowed to drop kick it. You are allowed to kick it off of a tee. Can you punt on a regular kickoff, Daniel?
Yes.
Nope. With the exception of after a safety.
I thought it was dealer's choice. Now I'm confused.
Not on a regular
You have
kickoff.
to kick it, drop kick or off a tee.
Correct. But you can punt after a safety. You have that option.
Dang, I thought it was all of them. I just thought, it doesn't make any sense because your punter usually, mine shanks it out after about 8 yards. So,
but yeah, I haven't seen the drop kick attempt at the onside kick, and I was watching it, and they set up for the onside kick, both teams, and I could see the kicker kind of looking around and seeing, I guess, what his better options were, and he decided to drop kick it to his right, so he actually drop kicked it and kicked it lefty, even though he's a righty kicker. So his approach was exactly the same, but ball hit the ground and went. Turned out to be a pretty good drop kick, but when you announce that you're going to do a onside kick, everybody's a little bit better at it on the R team. All right, so I digress again. Penalty enforcement rule change the exceptions for illegal participation as in 964, 964 A and G. The basic spot is the spot of the foul as defined by Rule 10-4, unless PSK applies. For illegal participation during a loose ball, follow 10-4-2-6. I'm not even going to blow your mind with that one. We're looking to get a legal substitution 99% of the time as opposed to illegal participation, because your participation penalty is a 15-yard penalty. So if your defense has 12 guys on the field and because that 12th guy ran on late or didn't get off the field, we're going to go legal substitution. And then if it happens to be on a kick where PSK rules apply, then it just gets even more convoluted. So this is where the 4 W's really come into play. When, where, who, why, what the hell, what WTF. So there's those times, and that's why you see us huddle up and talk with each other, because like coaches, I recommend you have a rule book guy on your coaching staff. I also recommend that on your officiating crew. Have somebody who has that stuff memorized and can rattle off, no, 9-1 says this. Okay, we're going with that. So we got to be able to work with each other. Moving on, a foul by team in possession that occurs behind the end of the run or related run followed by a change of possession is a force from the spot of the foul. So here's where we have our turnovers. So let me give you the example. A foul that occurs beyond the end of the run or related run following the change of possession. Man, I've had a half a bourbon and I'm slurring. Not good for podcasts. Hey,
on a Sunday night. What are you doing? What'd you do all weekend?
Not much. So in this scenario, a foul by the team in possession that occurs beyond or behind the end of the run or related run following the change of possession is enforced from the spot of the foul. So your interception.
So this is like I intercept a football. I'm running. A guy 5 yards behind me holds a used to be offensive player.
Correct.
Now we have a penalty behind the run after a change of possession.
Yep. So we're not going to go from the end of that interception run. We're going to go from the spot of that foul. And the last one is when a player on offense commits a foul in their end zone, which the penalty is accepted. So this one we talked about before, that's one is going to result in a safety. So even though we have the change of rules that we're going to go back to the previous spot with that holding penalty, if that holding penalty occurs in the end zone and the ball was snapped from the 5-yard line, we're not going from the previous spot. The foul occurred in the end zone. It's going to be a safety. So that's the exception to that rule.
So want to talk here, go back into that one bullet point. That is a 2-piece, and the last piece saying basically if the foul happens in front of your runner, then you get all of the runner's yardage, but because it's going from the end of the run. So this is, if you're a coach out there right? If you just read this alone, I get an interception or pick up a fumble, stop blocking the people behind him because you're going to miss out on let's just say you have a 95-yard interception return, and when you get to the 10 of your own and you're running their direction and a foul happens at the 5, it's coming all the way back. If you're at the 10 of your own and a foul happens at the 15, it's happening from the end of the run. So if you get to the 5-yard line, they're 5. You're great. Now you have 1st and 10 at your own 15. So you just got to be very careful about that. End of run is way different than, you know what I mean, spot of the foul in that scenario.
And to reiterate what you're talking about, well-coached teams on any change of possession, they teach their guys to get in front of the other team and slow down. That's how they're blocking them, just by slowing them down. You don't have to actually block them, because that's when the stupid stuff occurs. That's when the blindside block happens. That's all that stuff that drives me crazy as a former coach, drives me crazy as an official, would drive me crazy if I was that kid that just had an excellent interception and ran it back 95 yards, to have one of my bonehead guys behind me just lay somebody out for no reason, because, man, I got speed to kill and I was already gone. What are you doing?
So I have to, we this past weekend, or this past Thursday, it is this weekend. It's the same weekend. It's not past. Thursday we played, and we had that scenario. We picked up a fumble at approximately, they were going in on the 5-yard line. So we were at the -5 for us when we pick it up. And we had an outside linebacker ran at 95 yards, 92 yards, somewhere in that vicinity. And our corner came to his aid and did exactly what you just said. He just basically ran up to where he could touch him, got between him and a defender, and just put his arm straight out and slowed down.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting around me without running all the way around my arms. And we got it in the end zone. So we got like a 92-yard fumble recovery touchdown.
And that play is just as important as the scoop and score, because that he prevented somebody from making a tackle legally and smartly, and probably was the first one there to celebrate with his teammate. So
yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Make sure that kid listens to the podcast so I can give him his kudos.
There you go. Promise Johnson, we got you. Great
Promise.
block.
Great job.
Not blocking.
All right, so now establishing the line to gain. So when we have different fouls, first question, Daniel, as I'm backtracking here, what fouls give you an automatic first down?
Only the ones that have to do with roughing.
You
roughing
betcha.
The punter, running their kicker, roughing the quarterback, roughing the snapper.
You betcha. Automatic first downs in those scenarios. So on a live ball foul, mark off the penalty yardage first, then establish your line to gain. So we want to mark it off, and then some. I mean, there have been times where we've walked it off and then we've had to measure. As a crew, I'm always looking to the sidelines when I know that it's a 4 or 5 or 6 yard play coming up. So 2nd and 6, I'm looking over at the sidelines, and we're either signaling to each other. And for my crew, we give a signal of we tap short, and we tap up by our tricep for it's a short 5, or we'll tap down by our wrist for a long 5, or I'm looking 5 will get you 1, short 5, long 5. All these different things that we're just giving to each other so that we know, okay, if we have a defensive offsides penalty, 5 yards is getting them a first down. So I know that I'm going to mark it off correctly. If I hear that, hey, we got a long 5, I'm looking over and I'm making sure that we get our spot correctly, because now it might be 2nd and a half a yard, whatever it might be. So
we had it. In the NFL, I understand the ball actually lands between the ticks sometimes. That happens. But in high school, the ref is the short winger always standing on a tick mark, right? Football does not actually end between tick marks. That's not where it happens, right? So it's this past weekend, we had another scenario where we, I want to say, got a 5-yard foul, but it may have been a run that was tackled from the box beyond the first down, whatever it was, however it ended. But we ended up with 3rd and an inch in high school football. And I was like,
and is it a grass field or a turf field?
It's turf. Like, what What? I mean, the nose of the ball was literally past the chain. You know what I mean? But it's just so when you talk long five, short five, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so
I can't
we do
remember the
try to
exact
communicate.
scenario. I just remember thinking in the moment, like, how the hell are we in high school football and we're at 3rd and an inch? That doesn't make sense. The ball doesn't end on a tick. I mean, it doesn't end in the middle. Even if it did, it was on the same tick as the chain. So it should have just go on and do that first down.
So I will tell you a little insider secret here for the officials that we use a theory, or not theory, but an acronym called UTL. Use the line because of scenarios like that, especially on the beginning of a series. On the beginning of a series, if your kid fair catches it and they happen to be standing between 2 tick marks, we're moving up that 6 to 8 inches and we're putting the ball on the tick mark. And if it's a long run that we gain 15 yards on, even if he gained 14 and a half, he gained 15 yards. We're going to put it on another tick at that scenario. But then when you start getting into those short yardage type plays, we're going to make sure that, hey, we're going to give a true spot on that one. And then, as I said, when you have a second and, I mean, because on first down, if it's a short run, your wing should be giving you a true spot. So it could end up in between. And my guys will say a nose on the tick, tail on the tick, different things like that when they got the spot. So I know as the umpire where I'm putting the ball, so that if we have a scenario, then I'm looking, all right, short or long, and they're like long 5. Defense jumps off sides. The way our short wings know, and I don't know how all the other states do it, but here in New Jersey, we put a very small white tape on our chains. Okay. That's at the 5-yard mark. And that mark lets the guys know. So if I'm the short wing and the chains are to my back, I'm looking to try to find that white dot. And if the white dot is to my right and that's the direction that we're going, long 5. If that white dot is to my left and we're going to the right, short 5. So I automatically know right then and there. And it's subtle. Nobody really knows it. They just think that maybe the chain broke, but it's just a little marker for us to know, hey, this is the 5-yard mark.
So
and
we
also
use
a clip.
one, and I think they always put it on the back side of that 5-yard line.
So that's the clip
then
that
when
you're
you go out to
to
measure, you're only measuring from that disc to the first down. Honestly, you're not really measuring from the first chain to the second chain.
Correct, but that's different than what I'm talking about with the tape, because that's a clip. So we use a clip also, and the clip goes on the back of the line is where it should go, on the back of a line like you're talking about, and it should be at a shorter distance, so that if we're measuring, it should be like a 7-yard measurement as opposed to a 10-yard measurement. So I'm going to hold it at the clip at the back of the line, but again, that tape mark should always be at 5 yards. That clip could be at 7 yards, could be at 6 yards, whatever it may be.
Okay.
But that tape mark is what's going to give us the truer gauge of it. We've had one measurement on a turf field in probably the last 3 or 4 years because of utilizing stuff like that. And we had it actually a couple weeks ago, and we ended up being short by about 6 inches because the run ended outside of the hash mark. So we didn't have a tick to use. So the short wing gets the ball, they put it down, and then we kind of look over and I'm like, all right. So when it's outside the hash, well, we got the measurement, we were short. Our referee grabbed the chain where they were short. We brought the chains into the hash. He put it down, grabbed the second ball, put that at the spot, and then we were good to go. So we had the exact spot of where the ball should be placed. So we didn't place it at a first down because people would be like, well, the ball's out on first down. No, it wasn't. So we placed it at the right spot because we used the chains to reset it, and we went from there.
Well, I would love to see a diagram of that just so we can. I happen to know that refs in Oklahoma watch this because one of them called me and said he watches this, and he's a friend of mine. So I've never seen tape before. Now, maybe I'm just not watching this year. I'm in the booth. I have been for, a couple of years now for varsity games. So 4 years, I guess. Wow. I'm a booth coach. Anyway, so maybe they are using, I just don't know, but that would be really neat as a thing to benefit all refs. So would love to see your YouTube channel post how that works.
I'll definitely do that. Just got to remember to bring my phone out for pregame because I don't bring it out with me for during the game. stays inside. All right, so moving right along. All right, so now we got some special enforcement type of penalties. So the first one here, we're going to have a roughing the passer, RPS. I don't think I've ever used that acronym, but we got it in here. All right, Daniel, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. So roughing the passer foul, the basic spot of enforcement for RPS fouls is the previous spot. However, the enforcement spot is the dead ball spot for roughing the passer when the dead ball spot is beyond the neutral zone and there has been no change of team possession, which means we can tack on. So what I'm reading here is quarterback throws the ball, runs forward into past the neutral zone, and then gets clocked. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay,
Nope.
so walk me through this because it says beyond the neutral zone, which is weird. How would you?
You got an incomplete pass versus a completed pass. So if the completed pass, if the quarterback throws it downfield and the ball lands incomplete, we're going to go back to the previous spot and enforce that one. But if we got a completed pass, even if it's for a 5-yard gain, and now we got roughing the passer, we're going to tack on that 15 yards and give them the automatic first down because the ball
Plus
ended
20
beyond
yards.
the neutral zone in that scenario.
Touche. That's written a little dip, like it doesn't read that way. So
Nope, I get it.
Because the dead ball spot.
Yeah.
So, makes sense.
All right, so this one we talked about, I think, pre-production, but your free kick out of bounds and all the different scenarios you have. The basic spot of enforcement for this foul is the previous spot. However, the offended team has options, such as 5 yards from the succeeding spot, put the ball in play at the inbound spot 25 yards beyond the previous spot. So again, we're utilizing that hash of where it went out of bounds, decline the penalty, and put the ball in play at the inbound spot, which is very, very unlikely to happen. But the 5 yards from the succeeding spot can be either where it went out of bounds is the succeeding spot, so we're going to go +5 there, or succeeding spot being where they kicked off from and have them re-kick. So it falls under 2 categories in that aspect. I've
Why would
seen
that
the
not
re-kick.
be previous spot?
Say that again.
Instead of succeeding spot. Why would that not be 5 yards from the previous spot? Because they kicked off from the 40.
It would, in that scenario, you're right. It would be, but the succeeding spot would be where the ball is next to be put into play. So 5 yards from the succeeding spot. So if it went out at the 32, you mentioned that in your scenario, at the 32, the next spot that it would be snapped from would be the 32. So now it's +5 from that succeeding spot.
I mean, if you made them re-kick, why wouldn't that be in its own option 5 yards from the previous spot?
Yeah, I mean, you're right with that.
Okay. I read that and I was like, wait, they're missing one. And then you said succeeding is both. So, okay, touche.
No, you're good. And I can see how that one can be a little foggy in that aspect. I do steal some of these PowerPoints. I'm not going to lie.
It's absolutely that's what the best of us do, man. We steal from others and then we pretend it's ours and put it on YouTube. It's great. Go check out my YouTube, Chamberlain Football Consulting. Fouls by K during a free or scrimmage kick down prior to the end of the legal kick. The basic spot of enforcement for fouls during a kick is the previous spot. However, the basic spot may, at the option of the offended team, be the succeeding spot for fouls by K during a legal free or scrimmage kick down, other than kick catching interference, prior to the end of the kick when K will not be next to put the ball in play. Whew, that's a big one. That's a lot of word salad.
Yeah. That's all. That's
and this is why you said
that's a jambalaya right there.
This is why you said PSK is where you're trying to go because of this verbiage right here, right?
Correct.
So
if you have a foul
can be
during the kick, yeah. So if you have if you're in a punt situation and your gunner, the defender on the gunner is in a press scenario. And at the snap of the ball, they grab the gunner and just horse collar, throw him to the ground, mug them, take their wallet, take their girlfriend. It was homecoming weekend, so take the king and queen of the homecoming court, all that fun stuff before the end of the kick. That's the scenario that we're going to have. Again, we're trying to avoid such scenarios, but it does happen. NFL, not so much, and everything seems to be, and I shouldn't say this out of knowledge, I'm going to say it from being a casual watcher on Sundays, it seems like everything is PSK when it comes to the NFL, that the guy runs out of bounds, they're dropping their hat, they're throwing the flag, and all those other fun things. But in high school, there are scenarios where that hold could be 10 yards, 4K. And if it was 4th and 4, that 10-yard defensive holding or R holding gives them a first down, as opposed to if it was after the post scrimmage kick. Now it's a different penalty. Does that make sense?
It does.
So again, it does happen. It's not very common that it happens, but it does happen. And it's one of those ones that it's hairy when it comes to explaining that to the coach that, okay, you're not getting the ball anymore because your kid held and they get the ball and then they go in and score and then the coaches blame you. That score's on you.
Love it.
All right. So other special enforcement when a safety or goal line is in play. If the offense commits a foul in their own end zone, the accepting of the penalty will result in a safety, which we talked about. The basic spot is the previous spot for the fouls, which are committed during run plays by the opponent of the team in possession at the time of the ball when the foul and the team in possession is responsible for forcing the ball across its own goal line and related run ends in the end zone. Safety.
All right, so the first one there, the offense commits a foul in its own end zone, accepting the penalty results in a safety. We just had a whole thing earlier talking about the enforcement of the foul would be from the previous spot if 99% of everything that happens in football during a run play. So at what is it just simply the goal line that changes that?
The goal line
So
is its
if I'm at the
whole
6
other monster.
and I hold at the 1 and the running back gets tackled at whatever, it doesn't matter, the 4, because they're both behind the line of scrimmage, it goes from the previous spot.
You betcha.
But if I make that same penalty in the end zone and he gets tackled at the 4,
yep,
they're both still behind the line of scrimmage, but now we have crossed the goal line. It is a safety.
You betcha. The goal line is the gold standard. It's almost more important than the boundary lines for the most part, and which is why you'll see if depending upon the states with the mechanics and stuff like that. For us here in New Jersey, when we're at the 7-yard line, our short wings go to the goal line and then work back, unless they can get a first down inside that 7-yard spot. They're going to go to the line to gain and then work. So it's something that's been discussed, but yeah, we want to make sure that goal line, we have that goal line and know what's going on because it's that important. So we did have a safety this past weekend. We had a game that ended 35-2, and we almost had a second safety in a game, which I don't know that I've ever seen in a high school game personally, but we were very, very close to having a second one on a penalty. And as we came in and talked about it, the penalty occurred at the 1. So we're like, all right. Whew. But yeah, and going back on film, we got it right. We just didn't make it up just to not have the safety. But
yeah,
it was
that's what I heard when you said that out loud just now.
I know, and that's what most coaches hear. But yeah, it was close. So we were good with that one because we would have had that team would have attempted an onside kick on a safety, which is always fun too. The second one is now a foul prior to the try. So fouls which occur during the interval between the touchdown and the initial ready for play may be enforced on either the succeeding spot or the subsequent kickoff. So if you have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the defense or a late hit, kid catches the ball in the end zone, plays over, you put your hands up, and then they get drilled, you can take that either on the try or on the kickoff. If the foul occurs after the initial ready for play, it's enforced on the try. So if you're lined up for your field goal and the defense jumps off sides, you're going up 1.5 yards. You're not going up to 5 yards for the next kickoff because now we've already blown the ready for play. So the try is going. So this is where a lot of teams will decline the penalty because they want to kick from the 3 to the 10 and keep their normal mechanics in that aspect. Because
take the yard and a half and go for 2, baby.
if that's what you want,
let's do it.
But
all right. So I got a question about
when
this.
you're kicking, though. I got to say, when you're kicking, and for the coaches out there that are listening, kickers are unique individuals. Those people that are just kickers.
Ooh, Joel, I forget your last name. Look up Headcase Kicking. He's an amazing kicking coach.
But he's nuts.
First name Joel. It might be Williams, but that's not right. Look up Joel. He's been a guest on one of our podcasts, and multiple times. He will literally let you just video record your kicker and send it to him, and then he'll tell you what's wrong with your kicker.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's fantastic. Headcase Kicking. Check him out. He's so good that I'll shout him out for free. I'm not even getting paid to do this. All right, so I have a question. You talk about the interval in between. We talked earlier, Deion Sanders high kicking into the end zone. You get a taunting, but it's a dead ball foul after the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I can now take that full taunting penalty on the kickoff instead of the yard and a half the distance. Correct?
100%.
Because it technically is being enforced between the interval.
Yep. Or because with the Deion Sanders scenario that was on the defense, you can force them to kick their extra point 15 yards back further. So if they don't have a solid kicker, that could be a point that you steal. Or if they do have a solid kicker and they're going to make it anyway, you then can take the kickoff from the 25-yard line to give yourself a better kickoff return.
Yeah, for sure.
Good question. All right. Got one. This one's a great one. So I'll let you take this one and I'm going to jump in on it.
Okay. Foul during a touchdown. We just said Deion Sanders. If there's a foul by the offensive team other than unsportsmanlike or non-player during a touchdown, which results in a successful touchdown, the acceptance of the penalty nullifies the score.
And that's an easy one because if you want the penalty, we're coming back and we're going back to the basic spots and all those other things. So you got to hold on a long touchdown. We're coming back. Touchdown's getting wiped off.
You don't get the 6 points and have to play more offense.
Yes.
If there's a foul by the defense team during a down, which results in a successful touchdown, the scoring team may choose to have the foul enforced either at the succeeding spot, the try, or the subsequent kickoff. So this goes back to basically what we just said, but now you have a pick six. Then you have a hands to the face by what used to be the offense. You still get into the end zone. Now I get to pick whether I want it on that try. So essentially it becomes like a dead ball foul. But
so here's a scenario for you that we actually had this year in one of our games. It was early in the season, probably week 2, I think. 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. I'm making up numbers. Touchdown pass to the back of the end zone. Our deep wing has pass interference. We have DPI. The offensive kid makes an amazing catch in the end zone. Touchdown. Do you have to decline that DPI penalty to keep the touchdown? Go back and read that bullet point. I see steam coming from Daniel's ears right now.
I think if there's a foul by the defensive team during a down, which results in a successful touchdown, the scoring. So I would have to say no. You don't have to decline it. You can accept it and have it at the kick or the ensuing kickoff.
Correct. And this was one that we discussed at length at the bar after the game. This was a crew saver by our short wing.
Good.
And I messed it up. I was about to say, no, we got to decline that for the touchdown. If not, we're going 15 yards. And he's like, no, they scored a touchdown. They get the choice. And he was 100% correct. And he was adamant about it. I swallowed my pride. I said, all right, let's go with it. And we moved them up 15 yards and we went back and we looked it up again. We're like, you got it. So we got a round. He got a free round on the rest of the crew that night. So
maybe I do need to ref. Y'all go to bars afterwards? What? We just go home. It's so late. We have film to break down.
Even when I was coaching, we went to the bars. That's where I grew up. That my best plays was on a bar napkin.
After the game?
Yeah. We either had to celebrate or wallow in our sorrows. It was one of the two. Because if we tied, then we were going home. So that's kissing your sister, and that's just doesn't matter.
Are you from Arkansas? I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're doing here.
That's
Sorry,
why we don't
Kenny.
have ties anymore.
Sorry, Kenny.
All right. So now we have a foul during a try. If there is a foul by the offensive team, other than an unnecessary roughness or a non-player foul, which is typically going to be your UNS, during a down, which results in a successful try, the acceptance of the penalty nullifies the score. So you got a hold on an extra point by the kicking team. We're nullifying that point. We're backing them up 10 yards, and they're going to have to re-kick from there. If they missed, obviously you're going to decline it and lose the point, and they don't get a chance to re-kick. If there is a foul by the defense during a down, which results in a successful try, A is given the choice of accepting the penalty and replaying the down following the enforcement, or assessing the penalty from the succeeding spot, which is the kickoff. So if it's good and you get a roughing the kicker on an extra point, now you can take that on the kickoff. So that one's important to know if it's good. If it's not good, that roughing the kicker results in 1.5 yard penalty. It's not an automatic first down because you're not getting a second touchdown opportunity out of that, but you're going to get an opportunity to re-kick the ball for your extra point or go for 2, like you said.
So if you want to go for 2, game on, Holmes. If not, you get the short kickoff.
Yeah.
What's the old don't take points off the board, right?
Yeah, that holds true in the NFL where you got a professional kicker that shanks it. High school, you never know what the heck you're going to get as a kicker.
Oh, we shank them.
Yeah.
We go for 2 anyway.
There you go.
All right. Special enforcement, double foul. This is always the good one because I always want both penalties. I always do. If they're both on the same team. Double foul if both teams commit live ball fouls and there's no change of possession. There is a change of possession and the team in final possession fouls prior to the final change of possession. Or there is a change of possession and the team last in possession accepts their opponent's foul. The foul's offset and the down is replayed. This goes back to the old, like, if the offense holds, then you strip the ball and get a fumble recovery. I cannot give you the football and 10 yards for a hold.
Correct.
You just got to pick. Do you want them to go back 10 yards and try again, or do you want the football?
You betcha. And the same thing, consequently, on the other side with the clean hands, dirty hands type of scenario.
I remember that.
If you got the ball with dirty hands, oh, look at that. Next slide. If each team fouls during a down in which there is a change of possession, the team last in possession may retain the ball, providing its foul is not prior to the final change of possession, and it declines the live ball penalties. So if I intercept the ball, and before the ball was thrown, there was a hold by the tackle. So we got offensive holding. I intercept the ball, and now on my return, we have a block in the back. We are going to decline the holding penalty, take the interception, and be penalized for the block in the back because of the change of possession. So we want to decline that penalty. If all those penalties are accepted, then we have a replay of the down, and it's offsetting fouls. So you want the ball. You got the ball with clean hands. You want the ball. If you got the ball with dirty hands, if there was a defensive holding, and then you intercepted the ball, and the offense also held, well, you got the ball with dirty hands. We're going to offset those, and we're going to replay the down. PSK fouls are also covered under the clean hands rules. So we're going to talk about if a ball is muffed. Was there a penalty by the kicking team when the ball was muffed and they recovered the ball? So we want to make sure that we have all those things. And again, the who, the why, the who, the when, the where, all those, the 4 W's again come into play. So we want to make sure that we know what is going on. And the what, that's the other W.
The other W.
All right, this is the one you were thinking of your multiple fouls where you want to take both of them.
Yes. Multiple live ball fouls. When a team commits 2 or more live ball fouls, their opponents may only accept 1, unfortunately. This is why every Sunday you see holding by the offense, declined, kicking guy in the face, personal foul, whatever, 15 yards. You can only get one of the two.
Yes.
And then multiple dead ball fouls. Penalties for dead ball fouls are enforced in the order of occurrence, meaning you can get them all.
Yes.
And they're literally going to spell it out by which order they happened in, and then it probably ejects somebody, and the coach is going to go wild, and it's his own fault because extreme ownership.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, so we're always going to enforce them in the order that it occurred in, because you could have multiple dead ball fouls on the opposite teams. So you could have a dead ball foul on one team and dead ball foul on the other team. So if there was a dead ball foul on the defense first, I'm going to walk that one off, and it could give you a first down as the offense, and then walk it back on the defense, and it'll still be 1st and 10 because that one occurred first. So I'm walking that way and then walking the other way.
You answered my question. I was about to ask you about the chains, because this always seems to be, look, we ran the ball, we got a first down. It ended at the -30.
Yep.
Then our running back cussed out the official and got a personal foul, 15 yards, right? 15.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Doesn't get ejected yet, but boy, he's on the cusp now. And then we walk it back 15, and all of a sudden it's 1st and 15 from the 15 instead of 1st and 35 or whatever, or 25, right? So
you should always have 1st and 10 unless the play occurred on first down, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't have a 1st and 35 unless it was completely after the ready for play happened for first down, and then you had that dead ball foul. Yeah. Then you're going to get the 15 yards marked and added onto it.
Perfect. Love it.
All right, so kick catching interference, your KCI. If the kicking team commits KCI, the receiving team has 3 options. The result of the play, which we do have to talk about, because when that does happen, the ball is still alive. And we talked about the one video clip last week. If that team picks the ball up and returns that ball for a touchdown, they're going to take that touchdown. Even though one of their kids possibly got blown up, another kid could return the ball. 15 yards from the previous spot and replay the down, or an awarded catch after enforcement of the 15 yards from the spot of the foul. So this is where now you have your free kicks come into play, because it's an awarded fair catch. So you can have that on a kick catching interference type of scenario. So you want to make sure to go over all of those different things. But again, if number 86 is your punt returner and he gets blasted by K5, but then R15 picks up that loose ball that's bouncing around, well, they can pick it up and score, because it's still just a punt. A kick is a kick is a kick at that point in time. So they can go with the result of the play. And if their result of the play, even if he doesn't score, even if he gets 15 yards, well, that might be better off than where it was, or they could take the awarded fair catch so that they can get the free kick if it's the end of the half type of scenario and try to get that extra kick. So this is where you want to go over all the different options. If it's in the middle of a quarter, you're probably not taking that one. You're probably going with the 20-yard gain instead of the 15-yard penalty. But if time's running down, you're got to make sure you give them that option of the fair catch, the awarded fair catch, 15 yards up.
Real quick, cover that free kick for me. What are my options there? Let's just say I'm a coach. I got the fair catch. They punted it from the 10. He shanked it. It went out the 20. So they got a 10-yard punt. I didn't go out. I fair caught it at the 20. What are my options to kick the field goal here? We know we can kick a field goal.
Yep. You can kick the field goal from a tee, as long as you're in a free kick setup of 4 kicker 6 or 5 kicker 5.
So it looks like a kickoff.
It looks just like a kickoff.
But if I put it through the field goal, it is 3 points.
You betcha.
Can I drop kick it?
You can.
Can I punt it?
No.
So drop kick or kickoff formation. What about, can I actually field goal formation it and snap it and hold it and kick it because my kicker's, like you said, a head case?
You would have to do that from the. So that's not going to be a free kick. That's going to just going to be a field goal. So the defense is going to have an opportunity to line up for that.
But you can do it if you want.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you definitely can.
I guess my real question here is, let's just say time runs out. Ball's in the air. It's 50 miles high and goes 10 yards.
And you fair catch it?
Time is out. I can line up in whatever, like the field goal formation, or I can field goal, or I could kick off a tee. But maybe my kicker's he's not that accurate off a tee. And he can't drop kick, so I can just put the field goal team out there.
So what I would recommend is not putting the field goal team out there, but putting the holder with the block and the ball in their hand, just like you're simulating. So the holder's got his finger down on the block, it's got the ball in their hand. They bring it down, put it onto the block, and the kicker is just seeing the ball get brought down to the block and kicking from there.
Love it. Look at that.
That's my old special teams coordinator stuff.
Love you. I love that. That's why y'all are so special. You special teams coordinators.
Oh yeah, we are definitely special. All right, so
that one's tough. I don't want to do post scrimmage kick.
Yeah, we're gonna go over that one because we've talked about that one to nauseum. So the loss of down fouls, we have talked about this one. We talked about our first down ones, but this one, just to reiterate, so our loss of down fouls are going to be the illegal forward pass, which most commonly is the intentional grounding, the illegal handing of the ball forward, and the illegal touching of a forward pass by an ineligible player. So the illegal forward handoff is going to be when the ball is beyond the line of scrimmage or on a change of possession. So on an interception and it's intercepted by big old 98 and all of a sudden small 23 comes running past them and they hand the ball forward to him, that's a forward handoff. That is illegal. Your jet sweep behind the line of scrimmage where it is handed off, well, that's behind the line of scrimmage, behind the neutral zone. So that is 100% legal because that's a forward handoff.
We always go back in my mind to the OU Kansas game when we still had Caleb Williams and he stole the ball from the running back, but they were behind the line of scrimmage. He literally he was in front of him and stole it from him and then took off and got a first down. And the Kansas fans lost their minds thinking it was because he'd already handed it off to him to that guy. Maybe he even threw it. I don't know. Anyway, and he stole it from him, but it's behind the line of scrimmage.
And then you got the illegal touching of a forward pass by an ineligible player. And for those of you that have not seen the YouTube videos or the clips that are out there, this would also include your eligible center on a punt that is ineligible by formation that runs down the hash mark and catches a pass.
I may or may not have pitched it to my special teams coordinator to just load it up, all the baby numbers, right? All the eligible receiver numbers, your whole punt team, and just run them all out there. Who cares? How are they going to know where they left from? They'll never know.
Well, they should. Because if you do like I do, I'm calling out my ineligibles.
Touche.
And I got corrected by my white hat last weekend because I couldn't see one guy's number because it was all like scrunched up in the front. But he could see it on the back. I called him 35, and I think he was 85.
Automatic first down fouls. The following fouls by B result in an automatic first down for A. It's all the R's, all the roughings. Rough the passer, rough the kicker or holder, and roughing the snapper. If you rough somebody up, you're probably giving them a first down.
So, quiz question for you here, and this is our last slide, so I'm going to end on this one. What is the signal? We're going to go with a 3-part question. What is the signal for roughing the passer? And I'm going to give you a little tip. The first part of it is always going to be the chop to the arm. So you got the personal foul.
Oof. Roughing I don't know in high school. Is it different than the other leagues?
Not that I know of. So your passer is going to be your arm coming across. Your roughing the kicker is going to be the personal foul. And then the little kick motion by the
your leg off thing. Is that it?
Yep.
If you go to judo, chopping in a kung fu.
No, you're going to chop your arm off. So the personal foul is always to chop to your arm. And then you're giving the kicking symbol like you're kicking an air ball. But what is roughing the snapper? Personal foul.
I don't know. I don't. Is it the kicker too? They just did the kicker one too.
There's not one. It's just a personal foul.
Oh,
And as a
well,
long
that's lame.
snapper, I'm offended by this.
The white hat should have to get down in a long snapping position. This is on film. You're watching. It's funny. Okay, and have to.
Yeah.
He should have to do that.
Actually,
Quit taking it easy on these refs, coaches. Make them do the thing.
you should make the umpires do it because they tend to be the bigger individuals, such as myself. But yeah, there is no signal for it. And I take personal offense to this because I identify as a snapper. So, Daniel, we have come to the end, my friend.
Yet again, I'm so sad.
Well, there is always next week.
Mike D, the referee, I greatly appreciate your letting me do these things with you.
Absolutely.
Because now that has opened up the floodgates, though, because now I send you random plays in the middle of the week, like today, literally.
I'm
Mike,
not going to lie.
Isn't this an offensive foul? Like, what are we doing here?
I was a little insulted that you asked me if you could send it to me. Yes,
It was more like, hey, I need your team name. That's really Was I asking permission to send you? No. I was asking, give me your dadgum team name.
Yes.
Because I looked up Mike D, the referee, and didn't show up. And it still didn't show up as Whistle Talk. It showed up as
NJFOA, sure.
Yeah, sure. Something sure.
So for the other coaches that are out there, if you have a clip that you'd like to send me, look up NJFOA, sure, Whistle Talk, because I am
literally just look up Whistle Talk and it shows up.
Yeah,
but
I'm the JV team of my chapter's huddle account. So
there you go.
If you look up Whistle Talk, you'll be able to send me any clips that you may have, and I can give you some feedback on what I particularly think, or I will actually show it on the show or bring it to the attention of my association. I've used a couple different clips at our association meetings to help identify different things that kind of like, oh, wow. All right. Let me make sure everybody knows that so we get that one right.
We did the crazy clips for 2 shows in a row here in the last month or so. So you've probably seen those. If not, go back and watch them because there's some. The kid off the sideline to stop a pick 6 was probably the highlight of the. That's pretty crazy. I did deliver at least 1, maybe 2 clips, and then I sent Mike one today. If you're out, I'll just annotate. Or I'll just discuss. So real quick, it was a trips left bunch. Open on the backside. So if you're an old school, I spelled these out. The backside was open receiver. And then they traded the bunch. But instead of just like standing up and running to the other side, like the 2 back receivers did a 360 spin. And the front guy, it just, to me, and what the defensive end who was out there thought they were running a play. So he ran upfield. To me, it was simulating a snap. Mike let me know it's a 50-50 call. I told my head coach because we played those guys this week. So this will be a couple weeks ago now when this releases, hopefully. If not, I don't give a shit. But
did you notice the backfield, though? Did you see what I sent in the text with the backfield?
Yeah, I did, and they did that multiple times. They also shifted the quarterback and tailback over one man, meaning the tailback ended up direct snapping, and the quarterback became a lead blocker.
Yep.
So they they did it about 6 times. They came off sides 1 time. The other times we're not falling there for that again. And the quarterback has to act all nonchalant, like, I'm just looking over here. And I also took a step and then came back, you know what I mean? And then he still puts his hand up to take a snap he's not getting. So it's super funny. But anyway.
I'll
it should have been on the offense. Unless I ran that play, and then it should have been on the defense.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give Dan Casey a shout out on this because I just saw it on his Twitter account that one of the college teams ran it where they traded the tackles and the defense was focusing on the tackle trade. They didn't realize that the backfield just shifted 1 person over, and now it, in essence, became a wildcat formation, and they ended up scoring a touchdown on it. So I see the mentality of it. So I know Coach Casey has a book out there that a couple of people like to steal plays.
What a dude he is. If you aren't following, I signed up for his 1 play a day, and I look at 1 out of every 10 or something. But still, if your system is deep and you're an offensive coach, well, he does defense too. Weirdly enough, he does do defensive plays sometimes. But you can tag your stuff and make any of that happen.
And
It's
that,
in
and
your
that's the
system.
thing. I always call them a dick 'em, where we were trying to dick the defense over with a trick play. So it's something that the kids love because you can come up with a stupid huddle name for it too, and they always remember that play of the. We had a rebel pass because the nickname of the other team were the Rebels, so they knew the rebel pass like by heart. So even when we weren't playing the Rebels, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go rebel pass. Boom, they knew it by heart. So it was just one of our trick plays that we had, and it worked against the Rebels, so it just stuck with them. If
That's
it
right.
didn't work, we would have completely forgotten about it and given it a new name and put lipstick on a pig and moved from there. But yeah, it has some fun stuff on it, but yeah, I got to give Coach Casey the shout out on that one. So he's the one
For sure.
that I saw that. But then when you sent me the clip, I'm like, that's the same thing with the backfield and the
Yeah.
deception of what they are
A lot
trading.
of show over here, right?
Yep.
It's just sleight of hand. I'm gonna make you look at this, so I'm doing something else. Once again, man, thanks so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate these and the knowledge I've gained. And if you guys are listening and you're not football coaches, tell football coaches, because by God, I weaponize this stuff. My head coach has, if you're a box guy or you're a lay coach or whatever you call it in your state, we call it lay coach, a guy that's not at the school, you just coach.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're an analyst on just the weekends. Man, there's nothing better than being the rules guy. So you're like, hey, dude, you have 4 options on this ball that just got kicked out of bounds, right? Because coaches don't know, dude. We don't give a shit. We just return the kickoff when it goes out of bounds. The refs throw a flag and we do some stuff. We don't know what it is. Be that guy. And you have given me that. So I greatly appreciate you for increasing my value as a coach. And I'm sure they're all tired of hearing me talk about it now because I'm like, yeah, I know what we can do here. We can do
Yeah.
things.
Let's go. All
And the
good
roughing.
stuff, man. I appreciate you coming on. You always bring a different perspective. So I truly appreciate that. And for the officials out there, listen to the coaches every once in a while. Not all the time, every once in a while.
Me all the time. The rest of them,
Yes. All right, brother man. Well, good luck in your last week of regular season. We will definitely be in touch before that. And for my New Jersey brethren and sisterin that are out there, let's good luck in our playoffs and our consolation games and all that other fun stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, good luck in football and everything else we got going on. So, Daniel, sir, appreciate you once again. Have a good night and be well.